Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. My friend Gary over at the Papa 1947 sent me some wood. He sent 3 or 4 pieces in one box. One large piece that I'll be turning at a later date. And he sent me this, which is a piece of Maple Burl. And I think he thought it was going to be a test for me. How's Phil going to hold this? Ha ha ha. Well, I figured it out, Gary. So I put this in a vise at an angle like this and set that on my drill press table and drilled a 2.5-inch clearance hole there so my jaws have something to rest against. And then I drilled a 5/16 inch hole for my 3/8 inch woodworm screw. And we're going to take this over here to the lathe and see what we can make out of this odd shape Maple Burl. I can't wait. Stand by. As you guessed, the piece is out of balance, so I can only turn about 600 RPM, but I should be able to bring it in balance pretty quick. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to approach from the headstock side and just kind of knock these corners off and round it up a little bit. And the reason I'm approaching from this side is because I'm afraid if I come this way, I'll peel that bark off of there, and I don't want to lose any more bark than I have to. So I've got my 5/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge. I'm going to get my mask and face shield on, and we're going to get to turning this wonderful Maple Burl. Piece is about 9.5 by 5.5 by, it's going to end up being about 2.5 inches tall or thick. Okay, there's about 1,000 RPM. I just think it's so important when you're turning an odd shaped piece like this to stop often. You don't want to blow through something that might have looked good. And believe me, I've done it. Okay, I'm going to start working on the bottom. Probably go a little faster now. About 1,600. Now this is what I mean about stopping off and then seeing if you're gonna miss something. I didn't want to make this bowl so small because, you know, it's wonderful grain and you want to show that off. But I also don't think it looks good with these 2 flat sides. I thought it might, you know, you just don't know till you try it, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna have to go quite a little bit smaller. Kind of a shame. Cool looking bark, such beautiful wood, my gosh. But that doesn't look good, right? You don't like that, do you? That looks goofy. I don't like it. So back to the sides. Dang it. So I'll be working from the very tip down. I just find this to be the quickest way to mark out for a tenon. Certainly isn't the only way. So if that's my tenon, where's my base? I can't leave it to sit on the tenon. So what to do? Still trying to figure this out. Maybe I'll go with a recess instead of a tenon. Such pretty wood. Look at that. My gosh. It's just full of it. Sometimes you get burl that's half burl and half plain, but this is all burl, baby. And it's also, I don't know if you can see that, off center. This is longer over here than it is over here. That's pretty cool. Not sure how I did that. Well, let me flatten the bottom off here a little bit. I have to have enough material on the sides to support this recess. When I expand out, I don't want to break anything. Looks like good sound wood, however. I've set my dividers for 2 1/4. I think that's the size recess I need. So I'm just going to spin this up. I'm going to keep this one from touching, but I want it to be an equal distance from the left side. And that'll do it. And I think that'll give me enough support on the outside. I don't have to open it up really hard. It's a fairly small piece. But I do need to blend whatever I've got going on here and finish up my sides a little better. Yeah, okay. We'll work on the recess. I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge to remove some of the material. And I'm just going to use this recess tool to finish this up. See if I've got a dovetail in there. Yeah, I do. I'm about 3/32 deep. This is about right. So, time for sanding. I'm going to start by sanding just this little bit of bark that shows on the bottom with my Sandoflex. That just takes off the sharp edges, kind of cleans it up a little bit. Doesn't really alter the bark. I'll do most of that from the top side, but because I'll be putting finish on under here, I wanted it done first. And speaking of that, I just love these little pieces like this that are just a little bit different, protruding up in there. Nice, nice, really nice. And then we'll go with the 2-inch sanding disc in reverse, starting at 150 grit. So that's what I'll be doing for, this shouldn't take long, about a half hour. And I'll work up through 400 grit and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some, I think we'll go with sanding sealer on here and shellac. See you in a bit. This is just such pretty wood. Look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so that was Zinsser brand Seal Coat, which is a shellac based sanding sealer. And I'll put on probably at least 2 coats of that, maybe 3. I don't think this is going to need 3, however. And then a couple of coats of Zinsser shellac. Put it on exactly the same way, no difference. And then I'll bring you back when it's time to turn this around, start working on the top side. See you in a bit. The finish went well. I've got 2 coats of sanding sealer and 2 coats of shellac on there, and it shines like a new penny. I've expanded my chuck jaws into the recess on the bottom of the piece. I've sharpened up my 1/2-inch standard grind bowl gouge. I'm going to put on my mask and face shield, and we're going to start turning at 2,000 RPM. Yep, we'll stop there. This is so much thicker here than everywhere else, but that's just the way it is. It's probably about 3/16 at this point, about a 1/4 inch here. Gets a little bit thinner as it goes in, and that's okay. That's even good. Just checking the thickness. Pretty thin here now, about maybe 1/8 of an inch. I can check. Yep. I don't want to go any thinner, just deeper. I have to remember I have a recess, not a tenon, so let's see how we're doing here. We're about 1/2 inch. You know, I think we're there. I like this piece too much to risk going much thinner. So let me sharpen up my scraper, put a new burr on it, and I'll be right back. Yeah, we're good to go. Time for sanding. Okay, I'm going to start sanding in reverse at 350 RPM with my 2-inch disc sander, 120 grit paper, and I'll work up through 400. Well, of course, I forgot to sand the bark, didn't I? I was going to do that from the top side. So I'm going to use my Sandoflex just like I did on the outside. You saw that. So I'll put it on my drill and I'll just be sanding this bark a little bit. And then I'll go back to the 2-inch sanding disc and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some sanding sealer on here. See you in a bit. Alrighty then. Let's see what this looks like. I'll have to brush the bark. Can't get that on with a rag. Pretty stuff. This will take a little time because there's a lot of bark there and it's pretty coarse. But it's going to look so nice. And this is the same way I'll apply the shellac. I'll put on 2 coats of this sanding sealer and then 2 coats of shellac, and I put it on exactly the same way. Rag and brush. After I get it on the bark with the brush, then I'll go back on the inside and wipe up any runs or spills or anything that might be going on in there. And then, because we have a recess, and because it's a very small recess, and because I don't have much of a base that this is going to be sitting on, I guess we'll be done. I like to remove the recess when possible, but this just has a real small base, and if I remove the recess, I'm afraid I'll be removing the base as well, and that's no good. So I'll see you back here when it's time to take this off and be done with it, I guess. We're just about done, boys and girls. Well, here it is, one Maple Burl bowl in the book. This is very lightweight. Very lightweight. The thickness of it looks like it's thick up here, and it is, but it tapers down and it's less than 1/8 of an inch down in this area, and again 1/8 of an inch or so in the very bottom because of the recess. Such a beautiful piece of wood. Thank you, Gary, for including this in the black locust that you sent to me. I'll be getting to that soon. Beautiful, beautiful burl. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. Your comments are always welcome, and I respond to all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.